And now the adventures of Nick and Willikins.
This is England. Actually, that's a lie. We're really getting off on the wrong foot here. I don't want you thinking that I'm one of those unreliable narrators. No, this is not England at all. This is, in fact, a barely coherent caricature of England perpetrated by two men who have never even left North America. Consequently, the game you're about to play will almost certainly be riddled with inaccuracies, anachronisms, and bad accents. Like truly terrible accents you people don't even want to know. Anyway, they dragged me out of retirement to tell this story, and I'm not about to waste my extremely valuable time defending the ill-conceived choices of its writers. So, moving on. This is England. And this is the ancestral home of the wealthy and powerful Nick family, currently presided over by its last surviving male heir, young Nick of Nick Hall. Assisting Nick in the extremely complicated business of washing and dressing himself, along with the general maintenance of Nick Hall itself, we have this man. He answers to the name Willikins, but his young master has called him so many other things. Willikins is also one of the last of a dying breed. A breed of dedicated manservants tirelessly devoted to the well-being of their assigned charges, no matter the circumstances.
I cannot overstress the importance of following the instructions of one's master, no matter how seemingly misguided, unethical, or even mortally dangerous they might be. Ours is to serve, not to question. All of this being said, one does have some latitude when it comes to addressing one's betters. Traditionally, it is acceptable to adopt one of the three basic attitudes, as observed and practiced by the great Western powers of servitude. The first, and one to which I must admit a bit of bias, is the British method, which stresses politeness and civility. This method is kind without being overly familiar, good enough to sustain an empire of nearly 1,000 years, so certainly good enough for the likes of you. Second is the one preferred by our American brethren, the friendly approach, presenting the illusion of being the master's equal, despite the fact that you both clearly know which of you is the lord and which is the lorded. Finally, there's the aggressive method, typically employed by our old friends, the Germans. No great surprise there, while obviously not advocating outright hostility towards the master. It does emphasize the notion that even the most noble among us may, on occasion, require a bit of helpful prodding. Right, so, young Willikins, kindly choose one of these methods and demonstrate it to me and the rest of the class.
As you wish, sir.
Ah, the classic, polite, British method. Trying to get on my good side then, eh, boy? Mr. Willikins, you'll make a fine manservant someday.
Willikins, you're the worst manservant what ever lived. Now stop daydreaming about your boring past and tend to my needs.
So begins another exhausting day for me here at Nick Hall.
Too right, Willikins. As per our usual routine, I have prepared an itinerary of daily activities for you.
Oh, good.
Item 1. Much like the princess in that story about the wee-stained mattress, I have detected something amiss with my bed. Have a look under there, won't you?
Very good, sir. Ah, so there is something under here. A charger for a mobile phone.
That's what we call cellular phones in England.
Rather. I'd be concerned about these if I thought Master Nick had even the remotest concept of what any of it actually meant. Master Nick refuses to acknowledge that he hid these here, which is just as well as I refuse to touch them, so we're at sort of a stalemate. I'll just tidy this up then.
Adequate job, Willikins. 5 out of 10. Honestly, you must try harder.
Oh, must I?
Now then, item the second. I'm hungry.
You're mungry, sir?
Hungry, with an H. Now, I know you have some food squirreled away on your person, and I demand that you feed it to me forthwith and hence. Here too. And such.
I'm not sure why I bother. He'll inevitably reject this and any subsequent offerings, no matter what they are. Sums up my existence rather neatly, I suppose. Pizza, hamburger, sir.
Caw, that old thing, you made me that yesterday. It's rubbish. Bung it down a loo.
Of course, sir. That'll be the first of, no doubt, many then.
Now that that important business is settled, I want you to go downstairs and prepare me some proper brekkie. You know what I like. I want you to take at least 2 seemingly incompatible food items and combine them in a new and interesting way. An old and boring way, what I've forgotten about. Go on, off you go.
Very good, sir.
Oh, and Willikins,
Sir?
remember it's Thursday, which means you may only prepare the items on my revised menu of foods what I will only eat on Thursdays. You will know these foods when you see them.
Right, that thing. Very, as I said once already, good, sir. Somewhat surprisingly, the musculature of this statue is in no way exaggerated. Well, I'm not touching that. Master Nick was rather proud that he could locate his own ear, so we marked the occasion with a statue. Yuck. What, are you expecting it to sing a little song? This isn't France. I do hope we've been very clear on that point. A thrilling depiction of that time some blokes threatened a vicar with a cannon and also sang a song to him. Some conspiracy nutters believe there's a cryptic message of some sort hidden in this illustration. One day Master Nick will almost certainly pull one or both of these from the wall and then swing on the chandelier. Which is why I've already invested in a special broom for cleaning his bloody footprints off the wall. The official name for these is Other Swords. I suppose that helps distinguish them from the, other swords. Master Nick typically dines alone and seats himself here at the head of the table. On occasion, he'll ask me to join him at what he calls the arse of the table. I have no snark to offer here. I'm quite sincerely fond of how those candles flicker. Not actually an edible arrangement, though I've been ordered to test that on more than one occasion. We don't actually know this person. I believe we purchased this painting in an estate sale of some kind. An ancient ancestor of Master Nick's, with whom he was also once romantically involved. Our history, like the history of most great English families, is complicated and a bit incestuous. It would appear that a brand new pair of rubber gloves, or hand wellies as Master Nick calls them, has fallen into the bin. Theoretically, this is for sitting in. But I'm the only person who ever visits this room, and I'm forbidden to sit. So I'm not sure what its actual purpose is. In medieval times, that was used to wash clothes in. Now it's mostly for preparing something that Master Nick calls trouser stew. I'm not actually allowed to serve anything from these. Master Nick says they're the good plates, and he's saving them for a less rubbish person to put food on them for me. Master Nick's Thursday menu does indeed allow for this particular ingredient. An impulse purchase after Master Nick went through his Yan Can Cook phase. Unsurprisingly, it's never been used. Well, for food preparation at any rate. This magnet lists the telephone number for emergency services, which, here in England, is 999. Despite what Master Nick may have told you, these are neither musical nor a fruit. Jelly is what you call jello. Jam is what you call jelly. And this is something else altogether. Do try to keep up. Could be worse. Could be chocolate smoothie. Ugh. Master Nick's Thursday menu does indeed allow for this particular ingredient. I've heard it said that a true Englishman finds Marmite not only palatable but delicious. If this is the case, vive la France, I suppose. Keep your filthy jokes to yourself, please. We try our best, despite appearances to the contrary, to maintain an air of dignity here. If nothing else, we have that scurvy problem solved. Fresh from the, as it were, teat. Not even the 16th most disgusting food item in this house. Some cultures might look at an animal's organ and deem it inedible. But those cultures aren't British. Oh, this is indeed a real thing. Look it up, nerds. If I had £1 for every time I've had to explain what Jaffa cakes are to non-British people, I'd be dead. These are just biscuits. They've nothing to do with digestion. You say apricot, and I say apricot. Only one of us is correct. And it's me. This contains file cards with some of the most sumptuous dishes ever concocted. I've never once opened this box in all the years I've worked here. All great English homes have tea. I'd commit ritual suicide if we didn't. So naturally, Master Nick regularly tries to surreptitiously dispose of this tea to make me do that. Hilarious. Perfect for raw chicken, raw pork, and any other disease-carrying slabs of unprepared animal flesh. Sausages on toast is Master Nick's Cockney rhyming slang for sausages on toast. Not quite sure he's got the hang of that. I believe that mouse is made of fondant. Master Nick occasionally makes me taste them to be certain. Master Nick insisted on the sort of washing soap that's deliberately abrasive to my hands. These were not here an hour ago, and I know for a fact that Master Nick has not left his bedroom since then. He must have some sort of hidden dumbwaiter or something. A fine, upstanding British fish if I ever saw one. Well, technically these aren't so much upstanding as they are down-hanging, but the point remains. Well, now I've got a haddock. Good. There appears to be something hidden just beneath this top layer of potatoes. Master Nick has rather cleverly hidden his cold, soggy chips under these raw potatoes. Well, you can't deny there's a certain logic to that. Master Nick's Thursday menu does indeed allow for this particular ingredient. Hello, Sir Winston. Hello, Lady Thatcher. Hello, Rick from the Young Ones. Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. Master Nick's great good Unc Grendel Thaddeus Q. Nickington IV, and some unknown gentleman upon his back. I hate this thing. It knows why. I'm honestly not sure if Master Nick has found a dog food that strongly resembles diamonds, or if he's trained his mangy little dog to actually eat diamonds. Neither would surprise me. The dog's bed costs more than I make in a decade. So naturally the little bastard hasn't touched the thing in at least as long.
positively revolting. Honestly, Willikins, I don't know what you think you're bloody doing in that kitchen, but I've half a mind to just say sod it and prepare my own brekkie.
Indeed, sir.
Now bung this down a loo and make me something else. Now get your bum, and the rest of you, down to the kitchen and make me a proper meal. You know what they say, Willikins. Third time's probably going to be rubbish as well, because everything you do is rubbish.
Is that what they say, sir?
Well, that's what I say.
Let it go, make my body go. Take our bodies higher and higher.
He named the dog Willikins, which I was sure would cause confusion.
Not for me, it doesn't.
That settles that, then. Absolutely not. I don't know where this mangy thing has been. Or, more precisely, I know exactly where it's been. Master Nick's family sigil. Actually, it's a Z that I turned sideways. Don't tell anyone.
Your secret is safe with me.
Well, I can't be sure, but I expect this does not bode well.
Has Nick done something untoward? Is it even possible to do something toward? And if he has, will Willikins remain loyal per the rigidly binding ancient codes of English servitude? Find out, well, now. Seriously, you didn't think we'd just stop here, did you? Who would give you just part of a game? That's just cruel.
That came from the entrance hall. Much as I am loath to do so, I suppose it's my duty to investigate. Now, I'm certain there was no corpse in this room when I tidied in here earlier. I suppose I'd better phone someone about this. I dare say he looks familiar, but it's difficult to tell with him lying face down like that. Also, I'm certain I don't know any corpses. I really should call someone about this. There's only one telephone in this house, and it's currently upstairs somewhere. Sir, I don't wish to alarm you.
Good! Then bugger off!
I have no idea who this is. Master Nick is convinced he's a vampire, and it would break his heart to discover otherwise. In theory, this mobile phone is a vast improvement over the old landlines. But this model won't stay charged for more than 15 seconds, so it might as well be a bloody landline. It's still bloody charging, because of course it is, so I'll just leave it here and use the speaker function.
Emergency services, how may I direct your call?
Terribly sorry to trouble you, but a corpse has rather abruptly appeared, following a suspicious series of sound effects in our entrance hall.
Blimey, sir, that sounds serious. Our sat-nav tracker shows you're in Nick Hall, is that correct?
It is indeed. Well done, miss.
We'll send an inspector over at once.
I cannot thank you enough.
Morning all. I'm Detective Inspector Bobby of the West End Particulars.
Inspector Bobby of the Yard?
That'll be enough of that. Now then, I'm here about the corpse in your entrance hall.
Oh, that thing.
And this would seem to be a rather open and shut case. The victim, one Errol of Nick Hall, has clearly been murdered by you, Nick of Nick Hall.
You got nothing on me, coppers.
Actually, we've got quite a bit on you, sir. But under the circumstances being that you're rich, white, and clearly male, we can remand you to your residence of domesticity forthwith, and until such time as the court sees fit to hang you by your neck until dead.
That seems fair.
Oh, then I wasn't clear, was I? You, sir, are accused of murder and will be taking you away shortly. This will be very sad for you, and obviously for your manservant.
Yes, obviously.
So, just stay here and we'll be back for you soon. Cheerio!
Do people actually say cheerio?
Sir, is there anything I might do to assist you in this, your time of need?
Well, you could finish carving that ivory bust of my head.
Sir, we've been over this. Ivory is highly illegal, which I feel I must point out is especially relevant now, in wake of these recent accusations.
So lazy.
Gentlemen, a crime has been committed, and it can only be solved by me, the greatest detective in all of England.
Oh, is that where we are?
Allow me to introduce myself. Special Inspector Clever Ruse at your service.
Well, if you're at my service, make me an egg.
My God, has this man been deprived of his breakfast? That in itself is a tragedy, but not a crime as such. Nevertheless, it's the most important meal of the day. Who's responsible for this grievous error in judgment?
That would be me,
You look after this lad, do you?
in a manner of speaking.
So clearly this incident is your fault.
Ooh, I hadn't considered that angle.
That's because you're not Clever Ruse, lad.
Sorry, not sure I'm following the logic here. How is this my fault? Are we going with the tired old butler did it cliché?
For all we know, the tired old butler did do it.
No, you misunderstand. Obviously, you're a man of breeding, sophistication, education. Oxford man, are you?
Cambridge, actually.
Oh. can't have everything, I suppose. In any case, they should have taught you, even at a bin-liner school like Cambridge.
It was recently ranked the 4th best university in the world.
So not even worth a bronze, then, right? Your master's safety and well-being is your responsibility. Consequently, it falls to you to exonerate his lordship.
Really? I would have thought the great detective.
Here, take this. It's the official Clever Rules My First Crime Scene Investigation coloring book. And that's coloring with a U, naturally.
Naturally.
This will guide even the most thick-witted Cambridge dunderhead through the process of forensic murder solvery. Essentially, it comes down to 4 elements. Motive, murder weapon, at least one corroborating witness, and proof of the suspect's sanity.
Good luck with all that, Willikins.
As you locate each of these, you may colour in, and that's colour with a U, the corresponding area of the page. When you've coloured the entire page, phone me, and I shall be along at once. Clever Rules, away!
Oh, Willikins, did he just disappear in a cloud of smoke?
So it would appear.
Or disappear? Huh? Do you get it? Willikins? You still there?
That's our brolly hole. All great houses have one. Master Nick made one of the guards at Buckingham Palace laugh, and so, in keeping with ancient tradition, he was allowed to keep the hat.
You've reached the offices of Clever Rules, home of the great detective Clever Rules. Speaking to you now is the great detective himself, Clever Rules.
Mr. Ruse?
Call me Clever.
Rather. I was wondering if you could provide me with more information.
Inquire away.
About the motive.
In order to determine why a person was killed, you must discover who they were. What were they about? Did they have any enemies who would benefit from their death? These are all excellent questions. I know this because I asked them.
About the murder weapon.
It's you that's supposed to be providing this information to me, not the other way around, boy.
I'm in my 60s.
It's quite likely the item in question is still there in the hall someplace. Have a look round in all the most likely hidey holes, and you'll probably find the murder weapon.
About the proof of sanity.
What do I look like? A mental health professional?
Well, I try best not to generalize about such things.
A good detective always generalizes. We'd never get anything done if we weren't willing to cut those intellectual corners. Bring to mind the things you associate with psychiatry. Oedipal complexes, incurring the wrath of Tom Cruise, life-stabilizing medications, and work backwards from there.
About the witness.
Surely you know basic English. A witness is someone who may have seen, or witnessed, some or all of the events that took place at the time in question. So be on the lookout for anyone who may have been near your entrance hall when that poor devil was murdered.
Hello, Sam. I mean, Max. Ooh, brown. Master Nick likes to pair this one with his strangely erect necktie. Hello, third wig. It's a rubbish bin. Rubbish goes in here.
And yet you're not in it.
Well, aren't I a hoopy frood? And they say we British don't take good care of our teeth.
I've never seen that object before in my life.
These were prescribed by Master Nick's personal psychiatrist, Dr. Gesund. The label details the type of medication, recommended dosage, and a contact number for the good doctor. Under the cotton ball in this bottle is another cotton ball.
It's cotton balls all the way down, Willikins.
Where there was one set of footprints, that's where I was carrying you. Inspiring. This is a device for cleaning French bums. It's criminally underused. Quadruple ply. We do live extravagantly. Oh, bother, the deer's run off. That's Mr. Quacker's. He's mine, and I love him. Here in England, we refer to the esteemed gentleman as Master Bubble. Excuse me, Master Nick.
Willikins, you heard that quirky detective. Stop running your bloody gob and go exonerate me of this crime. Also, I think he said something about a colouring book.
Ah, yes. My goals have indeed been clearly demarcated in the form of a child's activity book. Though surely you mean colouring, sir?
Why, what did I say?
May I assist you in some way, sir?
With what?
You mean apart from exonerating you of the murder charges?
The what now?
Never mind. I assume you'll ring the bell if you need me.
You should never assume, Willikins. It makes an arse out of... Wait a tick, that'd be assume, wouldn't it?
Sir, the corpse in our entrance hall.
I thought it was a foyer. Foyer? Foyer. God, how do you say that anyway?
We'll circle back to that. My concern is the gaping hole in said corpse, and I was hoping you might have some insight as to what may have created it.
Willikins, what have I told you about hope?
You say that hope is the thing with feathers, and I should consider myself allergic to feathers.
Too right.
Except when I'm tending to your pet budgie.
And the budgie's the exception that proves the rule, isn't it?
Sir, do you know any reason why someone might have murdered the gentleman in our entrance hall?
Is this like in weddings when the vicar asks if anyone has any reason why these two shouldn't be wed?
Almost nothing like that, sir.
Can't help you then, mate. Also, you're not my mate. I don't know why I just said that.
I don't know why you say most things, sir.
I think it has something to do with Free Willy.
Sir, is there any chance you saw anything relating to the murder downstairs? I realize it's a bit of an inconvenience to ask, but this may help prevent you from being England's first victim of capital punishment since Harold Wilson was Prime Minister.
Was Harold Wilson sent to the gallows? Core, I knew the Beatles were cross with him in that Taxman song, but I didn't realize they had the power to order someone dead.
Never mind. I'll sort this one out myself, then.
Knock yourself out, Willikins. Only do try not to knock yourself out. With you unconscious, I wouldn't have anyone to summon to clean up your worthless body.
I don't suppose you have any sort of documented proof of your own sanity lying about, sir?
What makes you think I'm sane, Willikins?
Because that would diminish the very real struggle undertaken by genuinely mentally ill people. You're not insane, sir. You're just an arsehole.
I feel like I should be offended by that, Willikins. Am I offended by that?
Oh, probably, but then you noticed something shiny and forgot all about it.
Forgot all about what?
Well, if you insist. Here I am.
It's about bloody time.
The West Wing is approximately 80% asbestos, by design, so it's probably best to steer clear of that.
Let it go, make my body go. Take our bodies higher and higher.
Cool, there's been a right argy-bargy out there this morning, and I was described as a full-on foofera. What on earth is going on?
Well, Mum, it seems there's been a murder in the entrance hall. We are currently looking into who the victim is and what exactly happened, but you'll be happy to know that Master Nick is, more or less, fine.
Well, in future, see that you keep your so-called murders someplace where I can't hear them. I nearly couldn't get back to sleep after all that racket.
Miss Petunia has threatened castration if I so much as go near her cuppa. I assume she means me, but I'd rather not find out, to be honest. Stolen from the woolly mammoth in the British Museum. It was quite fun strapping these to the roof of our Mini, I can assure you. Ah, the king of the jungle. Except the part where lions don't live in jungles, nor do they have royalty. So they're basically Americans. Miss Petunia, by now I'm certain you're aware of the murder that took place. Only 2 rooms away from your rather stationary spot here.
I wouldn't be certain that I'm aware of anything at my age.
Touché, Mum.
Yeah, what if I told you about speaking French in this house?
Pardon me, Mum.
What is it?
You may be aware of the corpse in our entrance hall.
Not so much aware as unaware, I'd say.
Yes. Well, there appears to be a hole directly in the center of the body about 1 foot in diameter. I don't suppose you'd have any idea what might cause a wound like that?
Certainly nothing I could comfortably reference in a family-friendly setting, eh?
I'll just mark that down as a no, then. Miss Petunia, Mum, perhaps you're familiar with the murder that's recently taken place?
No, it's not ringing any bells.
Really? You didn't hear the scream? The stabbing? The subsequent arrival of not 1 but 2 investigators?
I'm a good little doggy.
I thought we'd agreed we weren't making any further Monty Python references.
No, but don't get that one.
In any case, I can assume that, since you weren't aware of the murder itself, you can't possibly know why anyone would have had motive to murder the dead gentleman in question.
Right, what you said.
Excuse me, Mum, but I'm looking to establish proof of Master Nick's sanity. Any chance you could assist me with this endeavor? Excuse me, Mum. Sorry to interrupt, but there's been this murder.
Cool, there's a lot of murders in there. World's a right horrible place it is. Not like in my day. In my day, people was more likely to drop dead of black lung or the influenza. Spanish influenza, of course.
I can deduce from this somewhat problematic answer that you did not see the murder which took place 2 rooms from this very location.
Well reasoned.
Master Nick insists that Antelope rhymes with Penelope. A true gentleman's pursuit, so naturally Master Nick hasn't come anywhere near these. The hedge maze of doom seems to be coming along quite nicely, by which I mean horribly. Oh, that's a bad miss. Behold the thylacine. All right, I'm beholding. Now what? Master Nick planted the other antler in the back garden some time ago. And yet no deer have sprouted in that spot. Not actually the last unicorn as seen in the book and the movie of the same name. This is, in fact, the penultimate unicorn. Just a vase, nothing special about it. I believe this one is called The Unicorn is in Captivity and Wishes It Was Still Dead. Exquisite. Getting an idea of who this was and why he's here would be an excellent idea, and this police tape is hardly going to stop me. But I'd rather not contaminate the crime scene with my own fingerprints. I can't quite reach to turn him over, but I did manage to dislodge the man's wallet. That's the wallet I dislodged from our unfortunately deceased house guest. I'd need to pick it up to see it more closely. There's very little in here. The identification says his name is... oh, it's Errol. The general ruffian and ne'er-do-well who frequently burgles our home. There also appears to be a note here that says, "In case of emergency, call this number." Well, that certainly sounds like a clue. There's nothing particularly special about this one either, except that this one is a vase. Not post in the sense of correspondence and packages delivered to us by the Royal Mail. This is the other kind. I applaud their efforts, but I dare say I've overcome significantly heartier barriers to my duties. This was left by an activist of some sort. It appears to have been left here somewhere around the time our deceased friend arrived in the entrance hall. It seems that someone attempted to deliver a package around the time of the murder. I wonder if the delivery person saw anything. It appears to have one of those bloody QR codes on it that everyone seems to think people actually use. This one looks more like an owl to me. This is where the birds live. I've always thought this thing was a bit unsettling, but I'm also fairly certain that there should be two of them. Surely one of them didn't just get up and walk away, though, did it? And do I actually want an answer to this question? Ah, an extremely rare double-headed heifer. I know how he feels. I want to vomit all the time, too.
Daffodils, those are for heroism. Daisies, they're for baking. Rosemary? I can't recall what rosemary's for.
Much of this plan has yet to be incorporated, so this is useless as a map until the bloody thing is completed.
Jonquils, they're
Which,
for toll booths.
assuming this goes as Master Nick's other projects are gone, it never will be.
Lime blossom, there's a randy
I'll just draw myself a straight path to the center of the maze. And that's center and not center, obviously.
That's for good luck in the coming fiscal year. Begonias,
Master Nick
that's
believes
for
this is a
good
TARDIS.
line for Abe Vigoda.
A vast improvement over that time he believed it was a Portaloo.
Marigolds, that's for jams, like the kind with fruit in.
It seems to have flown off the handle. I can relate, little garden implement.
Morning Glory, that's for, ironically enough, late evening failure. Carnation, that's for breakfast.
It would appear that the hedges are speaking, which seems unlikely, but would not be the most unusual thing I've seen round here.
That's for someone else to pronounce blimey.
I say, might I have a word with you, please?
Of course, Mr. Willikins. Apologies for the noise. So I was just studying for my botany final. What can I do for you?
What is it that you're working on here, miss?
Why, Master Nick's Hedge Maze of Doom, of course. The plans are posted on the garden shed over there. Now, if you wouldn't mind, sir, I must get back to my work. There's much to be done.
Might I persuade you to alter your landscaping activities just a bit, miss?
Well, you might, but only with orders that have been signed by his lordship. Now, if you'll excuse me.
You may have heard some commotion earlier. Nothing to be too concerned about. There's just been a murder.
Goodness!
Quite the opposite, in fact. In any event, I am endeavoring to discover precisely what happened, and I was wondering if you might offer some insight into the murder weapon. You obviously deal with a number of rather lethal implements in your duties here. Could one of them have made a hole about 20 centimeters in diameter in a man's torso?
Nothing like that in here, Mr. Willikins. That sounds like a railroad spike or some such. But I know Master Nick cancelled the railroad maze and sent that crew home months ago.
Ah, yes, I'd almost forgotten about the railroad maze. I have another question about the murder, specifically the motive. More specifically, why anyone might wish to kill the gentleman in question.
Couldn't say, sir. My only experience with killing involves weeds. And insects. And the occasional vole. Turns out I'm a much more experienced killer than I realized. Still, can't help you here, though, I'm afraid.
I have another question about the murder, specifically if you managed to see any of the events that took place inside the hall earlier today.
I'm afraid not, Mr. Willikins. My duties do keep me pretty well occupied inside this maze.
I suspected as much.
However,
You say?
However, I did hear a delivery truck pull up around that time. I don't know if that's at all relevant.
It may actually be. Thank you, miss. You've been a tremendous help. I've another question about the murder, specifically. Some way of providing proof of Master Nick's sanity.
Well, the proof's in the pudding, right? Isn't that what they say?
It is a thing that some people say, yes?
I'm afraid I may not be your best source for sanity, Mr. Willikins. But good luck with that.
That's exactly what Master Nick said.
Columbine, that's too soon.
It's just a jumble of numbers and letters which apparently communicate some vital piece of information to the Royal Mail. It says 00D4L4Y.
Germaniums, I believe, are radioactive.
Neither rain nor snow nor glom of knit will keep me from fetching Master Nick's very important hardware store circulars.
Going, obviously.
Dare you enter Nick Hall's Maze of Doom. So nice of Master Nick to offer a choice. He doesn't usually bother.
Hibiscus,
I believe, in this instance, I daren't. This has been struck by lightning 37 times, which is 3 less times than I have.
Poppies are, well, they're lovely, aren't they? And roses, I don't think roses hold any particular symbolic meaning whatsoever.
This is the head-shrinking doctor. How may I assist you?
I beg your pardon, I was trying to reach a Dr. Gesund.
Ja, speaking. Dr. Gesund at your service.
In England?
Terribly sorry about that. I've been brushing up on my German accent, you know. Seems I'm taken much more seriously when people believe I'm German for some reason. How may I help you?
Good morning, Willikins the butler here. I should like to request sanity paperwork for Nick of Nick Hall, if I may. Please and thank you.
Nick of Nick Hall, is it? Well, I can't give that information to the likes of you, of course.
Ah, yes, medical ethics.
What? No, because you're a lowly servant. However, as it happens, I issued just such a certificate to the patient's only surviving relative.
Right, thank you.
Hello, this is Nick!
Sir, I'm trying to determine who may have had a connection to the body in our entrance hall. Why on earth would you be answering a number that I found in the deceased's pocket?
Errol. As you know, Willikins, Errol's my friend. But I did tell him that he'd better not rob us again or I'll bloody kill him.
Sir, you've put me in a very awkward position here, because I do appear to have found a motive for Errol's murder. However, that motive belongs to you.
Finally, you did something right.
No, sir, this means you're still very much a suspect.
Well, obviously you're not going to say that to the detective since you're duty-bound to protect me. So, I don't know, tell him someone else had a motive. I'm sure you can make up some lie or another. You somehow convinced my family you were a decent butler when you arrived, so you're obviously extremely skilled at deception.
Blay, hello.
Good morning. I'm the butler at Nick Hall, and there's been something of an incident here recently. It's possible you may have witnessed this incident, so I'm calling now to find out if this is indeed the case.
Before you ask your questions, I have a question for you. How many chlorofluorocarbons is an acceptable number of chlorofluorocarbons?
The seasoning you get when you order a Chinese?
No, that's monosodium glutamate. Also bad. You mortals are so woefully ignorant about this planet and its precious resources. The answer, by the way, was none. None chlorofluorocarbons. Ha 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 ha.
Wait, mortals? Are you not a mortal?
No, I'm a vampire. Can't you tell? Blay.
I thought it might be rude to assume.
Listen, I could potentially live for eternity, and I'd rather not do it on a world choked with styrofoam Big Mac containers and plastic shopping bags.
I believe we call those, respectively, polystyrene and polyethylene.
I don't care what you call them. Just stop throwing them into the ocean.
So this is why you came to our home this morning, to lecture us about going green?
Correct. I hate going out during the day for obvious reasons, but my car runs on clean solar energy. Such irony is the story of my life. Or on life, if you prefer.
I most certainly do not. Now, as much as I'd love to continue this conversation into eternity, I shall come to the point. Did you happen to witness, or I suppose cause, the murder that took place here earlier?
Certainly not. Decomposing corpses are the absolute worst greenhouse gas emitters. Had I encountered one, I would have done everything in my power to get it on ice, because...
Yes, very well. I've heard all I need, thank you.
I could come by again with some literature. Printed on recycled paper, of course.
Thank you, good day.
Welcome to Stuff Bringers Intercontinental, a division of Ed Arnold Industries, a subsidiary of Corpco International LLC. If you're calling to inquire about a delivery, please say the 64-digit tracking number now.
613.
Or, if you'd prefer to speak to an operator, simply say, operator.
Oh, thank heavens. Operator.
I heard you say, operator. Is this correct?
Yes.
Please hold. An operator will be with you shortly.
While I was walking through the hill, I heard a wail, 'twas mighty shrill, a weeping made by the twin pine small, heard her sob, I saw her fall. You know what it is on, break the sucker to the freaking door, put my love at your skull, y'all, just like this, 6 verses in your hand, pop, pop, pop.
Stuff Bringers Intercontinental, this is Deirdre. How may I help you?
Good morning. I'd like to speak with the delivery driver who attempted a delivery to Nick Hall this morning. I believe he may have seen something relevant to a criminal investigation.
Do you have the delivery slip that the driver left behind?
I have, yes.
And could you describe to me the animal that the QR code on the slip most closely resembles?
An owl. Definitely an owl.
Good, good. Right, now then, what is your postcode?
Of course. Our postcode is 00D4L4Y.
Good, good. Now then, I'll need the name of 2 of any of the recipient's direct ancestors.
Lady Beatrice. Her painted likeness smiles upon me every time I pass through our dining room.
Right, that's one.
Well, there's good great-aunt Petunia who lives downstairs.
Excellent, sir. That was all I required.
Oh, really? Only that?
I shall now connect you to the delivery driver you're trying to reach. Please hold.
Very well.
Stop Ringers Intercontinental, this is Deirdre. How may I help you?
Oh, no. Hello again, Deirdre. I thought I was to be connected to the delivery driver.
Yes, speaking. A lady can drive a truck and answer phones, you know.
I suppose you truly can have it all, then. Listen, there was a rather unpleasant incident here at the hall this morning, and I was wondering if you'd seen anything untoward during your visit.
You mean the murder?
Yes, that is exactly what I mean.
As it happens, I did see the incident, yes, sir. However, in order to provide you with further details, I shall need you to fill out Inquiry Form 6B and speak with my manager. I'm just fooling with you, sir. What, do you need me to call the police and promise to report what I saw as an official witness?
That would be wonderful, yes, thank you. And if it's not too much trouble, could you tell me what you saw first?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you, sir. Goodbye!
Let it go, make my body go. Take our bodies higher and higher.
Miss Petunia, terribly sorry to interrupt.
I never mind being interrupted by the likes of you, you strapping young thing.
Yes, rather. I was wondering if you might know anything about a certification issued by Master Nick's psychiatrist.
Terribly sorry, wondering if I might. Cool, try a little decisiveness once in a while, boy. It'd make you much more attractive to the ladies.
First of all, Mum, I'm not interested in women.
Married to the job, eh?
That was going to be second, yes.
I'm afraid I can't help you then. Now, bugger off. There's a good lad.
It has come to my attention that you have the official certification of Master Nick's sanity. In order to exonerate his lordship, I shall require this paperwork at once.
I shall require a sensual back rub, but I don't see no Fabio here to deliver me one. Stop wasting my time, you less interesting lurch.
Just hurry up and get through this, Willikins. It's for the greater good. Just lie back and think of England. Good morning, beautiful.
Oh, beautiful, is it?
That and so much more. I scarcely have the words to fully quantify your loveliness, my dear.
Well, perhaps you'd have learned them if you hadn't gone to bloody Cambridge.
Indeed. So, my lovely, would it be too out of line to request a very small favour from the most stunningly gorgeous creature I've ever laid eyes on?
Oh, well, I suppose not. But you'll have to do something for me.
Name it and it's yours. Anything for you.
Oh, give us a little turn round.
I beg your pardon?
Just give us a good look at the whole package, if you gets my meaning. Nice and slow.
Very well.
Ooh, delightful! That one's going in the old WB, I can assure you.
WB, Mum?
The second word is bank. First word rhymes with that. Now let's see. I hid that paper some time ago for young Nick's own protection, and I wrote down where I hid it on this paper. Here you are, dear.
This appears to be in some sort of code.
Yes, that's right. I used a decoder ring I got from an American cartoon show I rather fancy. Unfortunately, I lost that ring, so you'll have to get another. But that shouldn't be too difficult for the likes of you.
I wouldn't have expected you to be a fan of American cartoon programs, miss.
What you don't know about me could fill a bloody town, boy. Now, bugger off. I'm done with you now, and I've important business to attend to here.
We had to pay that tiger 60 quid to lie down and pose for that. Oddly, the puppet's lips never moved, but Master Nick's did. Don't know why that dog's so unhappy. It makes more in a year than I do. This used to open, revealing a button that did nothing. Mercifully, it's since been sealed shut. There was once a descriptive audio service that accompanied this painting, filling the hall with a constant ear-piercing howling. Somehow it became disengaged. Who knows how these things happen? This was identical to the bust over there, but we left it on the dash of the car on a hot day. Master Nick modelled for this one by pressing his face against the screen door. This isn't a painting, it's a plant. It's a door. We don't have a special word for door here, it's the same as your American doors. Master Nick was briefly obsessed with the idea that red and white wines would pale in comparison to this, the world's first blue wine. Then, as is usually the case, he got bored and wandered off. A wretched wine of scum and possibly also grapes, though I can't be completely certain of this. Frankly, I don't know whether to be confused or excited by this one. An earthy wine with a distinct hint of farce. Not only will Master Nick not tell me what's in this bottle, he refuses to allow anyone to touch it, which is what this note is about. I dare speculate what's even in this bottle. I'm dead certain it isn't wine. It's made of apples. Well, mostly apples. Stuck away in storage when Master Nick couldn't work out how to type with them on. Technically, this is the sequel, Mannequin 2 on the Move. The original was, as is so often true, far superior. We used to store this on a top shelf, but it kept rolling down and hitting Master Nick on the head, concussing all manner of alternate personalities into him. This would be tree number 36, I believe. I finally convinced Master Nick that the Victorian practice of decorating with working candles was, to put it mildly, unsafe. Yes, we have Amazon here as well, only it's amazon.uk instead of .com. This is just one of the many differences between English and American cultures. See if you can spot some more. A gift from our neighbor who claims to be in the sanitation industry. These are for purely scientific purposes. They contain molasses and they're only to be used in January. This rope is so rope, Master Nick calls it Mr. Roper. Those things don't go together. I'm sorry, I know you want them to, but they just don't. You can't see it from this angle, but they say Hamdingers on the side. Great. Master Nick believes this is my favorite toy, but it doesn't even squeak. Best to leave that where it is. It's a load-bearing muppet. Best to leave that where it is. It's a load-bearing muppet. I can't see much point in doing that. Strategically placed to drip directly on my face whilst I sleep, regardless of the angle. I got 20% off this mattress using a code I heard on a podcast. If my upper lip were any stiffer, my face wouldn't work. It's actually much itchier and pointier than it looks, and it already looks quite itchy and pointy. Ironically, that rodent is the cleanest thing in this room. I find it useful to keep something living down here to indicate if, or more correctly when, there's been a gas leak. Every time I straighten that, Master Nick comes down here to crooked it. It's the only time he ever comes down here. It's stuck on the channel that tells you what's on the other channels that aren't this one. Until someone can get out and fix the satellite aerial, I'm afraid this is our only option.
Well then, go ahead and bloody fix it already.
Daffodils, roses for heroism.
This has been struck by lightning 37 times, which is 3 less times than I have.
Rosemary? I can't recall what rosemary's for. Jonquils, they're for toll booths. Lime blossom, there's a randy fellow.
Hello, won't you join me please? I've some urgent business to discuss. Hello, miss. I wonder if you might consider doing me a favor and changing the shape of your mighty construct here.
Not unless those changes have been approved by Master Nixa. Now if you'll excuse me. Azaleas, that's for good luck in the coming fiscal year. Begonias, that's for if you can't find a good line for a pagoda.
It's called the Hedge Maze of Doom for a reason. I dare not venture any further.
Marigolds, that's for gems, like the kind of fruit in.
I used to talk to myself whilst I worked, until Master Nick threatened to have my larynx removed. Actually, he threatened to have my onyx removed, but one assumes that's what he actually meant.
Carnation, that's for breakfast.
These controls won't do much of anything until the satellite dish is repaired. Now, if only I could determine what's wrong with the thing. Who knew so much of this job would involve having to plug things in? The television is not, at present, on. No.
The There! We've gathered the 5 components for the Professor's machine from the 5 corners of the globe. Now we can finally stop Baron Malevolent!
Meow!
What is it, Astrocat?
Meow!
Oh no! A deadly dick bat!
Hey kids, join the Sarcasters. You get all this cool stuff, including a nifty decoder ring. It's easy and it's fun.
Well, good. Now I can order myself a collectible keepsake from that children's cartoon. God, I hope none of my classmates from Cambridge can see what I've made of my life. It's a coat. Did you really expect a unique remark for each of these items? This is for when Master Nick drops a dope banger at the club. Ah yes, for those occasions when Master Nick feels like resembling a turtle. Or as we typically call it, Wednesday. My God, this man has the head of a coat hanger. Ah yes, the famous deerstalker hat, as made famous, of course, by the great American author, Mark Twain. Is there anything more quintessentially British? Only if you eat beans directly out of this hat. Which, of course, Master Nick has done. From Master Nick's great white hunter phase, until he realized he was only one of those 3 things. Bow ties have never been cool. Patriotism in its purest form, a necktie. These clothes have been freshly laundered, but now they're affixed to the floor with sock glue.
Welcome to Sarcastic Central, home of Dottie Patrol and our exciting one-of-a-kind decoder ring.
Didn't I speak with you earlier today?
Not unless you dialed 999. Wait, is that Willikins? Hello again, this is Beryl.
Are you the only telephone operator in England?
Cool, it feels that way sometimes, doesn't it?
Rather. Now then, I'd like to order...
A decoder ring? I guessed it was that, since that's the only thing we sell here. According to our records, we already sent one of those to a Petunia of Nick Hall some time ago. Were you looking for a free replacement to be sent to the same address?
Yes, that would work nicely, thank you.
Righto. We'll get that in the post via the fastest means we have available.
No need. I'm certain it'll be in our post box by the time I make it all the way out there. Master Nick insisted that we spare the postman the strain of having to walk all the way up to the hall. Clearly this isn't a concern when it comes to the likes of me, however. Anyway, thanks. Goodbye.
Chrysanthemums. That's what someone else pronounced blimey.
Ah, this would appear to be the all-important decoder ring,
Columbine,
upon which my entire day now hinges, for some inexplicable reason.
Forget-me-nots. Those are for... oh, Rosemary's for remembrance.
The note says that Master Nick's sanity certificate is in the library portion of his drawing room. Inside the book, the lion, the witch, and the very big fish.
Tulips off the tiptoeing, obviously. Violets off the dinner parties, and they're not blue, they're bloody violet.
Ah, finally, official documentation of Master Nick's sanity.
Let it go, make my body go. Make our bodies higher and higher.
Chrysanthemums. That's what someone else pronounced blimey. Columbine, that's too soon.
Hello, won't you join me, please? I've some urgent business to discuss. See here, these plans have been updated and I require you to implement the changes immediately.
Require all you like, sir. Without official plans signed by his lordship, you're wasting your breath. Now, if you excuse me. Forget-me-nots. Those are for...
What's this then?
Just some amendments to your ever-expanding hedge maze project, sir.
I don't remember signing off on these.
No, sir, you're signing off on them now.
Am I? Oh, it would appear that I am. Well spotted, Willikins.
Indeed, sir.
Tulips off the tiptoeing, obviously.
Would you please come out again so I can speak with you?
What can I do for you?
Master Nick has approved these changes for a hedge maze, miss.
Oh, so he has. I'll get started on this right away then.
Oh my. Good heavens, the girls are natural.
There we are. Precisely to his lordship's specifications.
Did you get me some cotton candy?
They were all out of candy, so I picked you this cotton.
Finally, I can get my cotton gin started.
You can't bring gin in here. They confiscated all the bottles with the triple access.
He's my favorite Vin Diesel.
You can't bring diesel in here either. This amusement park only uses natural gas.
That doesn't sound very amusing.
That's the park's job.
Did you say park the tetrapod?
You can't park that tetrapod here either.
I thought the parking was in the rear.
Is that where they get all the natural gas?
That wasn't very amusing either.
This seems to make about as much sense as anything else from Tordovia.
Willikins, stay out of there. That area is off limits to you.
Sir, I must insist that you allow me to look under your bed.
Willikins, I've decided to try being indecisive. I always wanted to be a logical paradox.
Really, sir? Is that what you've always wanted to be today?
And so, in answer to the question, may I look under the bed, I say to you, I don't know.
You don't know?
That's right.
Sir, you realize I'm doing all of this to exonerate you of the rather serious murder charges that are currently hanging over you.
Then you better help me make up my mind quickly, hadn't you?
Very well. Yes, I may look under your bed.
Not good enough. I need you to introduce some kind of random element. A device of some sort that will make the decision for me in a satisfyingly unpredictable fashion.
Sir, you're just needlessly complicating things at this point.
Oh, you always say that. Now off you go.
Here, sir.
I suppose you want me to flip this coin to help me decide if you may look under my bed.
Yes, sir, if it's not too much trouble.
It is a great deal of trouble, but if it'll shut you up about...
About clearing you of the murder charges?
Right. That. All right, I'm flipping the coin, Willikins. Call it.
Heads, sir.
Sorry, it's tails.
Are you quite sure about that, sir?
Yes, quite.
Only that coin?
It's tails, Willikins. Just like my second favourite Sonic the Hedgehog character and my fourth favourite part of most animals. Which means you lose. You don't get the thing you want. What thing was that again?
I most emphatically did not want to look under your bed, sir.
Well then, the coin has spoken. You get under that bed at once.
Very good, sir. Somehow I always knew this disturbing little fellow might one day be involved in something untoward, and now I'm nearly certain of it. If there's any possible chance this is the murder weapon, I should not touch it with my bare hands.
Willikins, what are you doing out there?
I was just picking up this object under your bed.
Yes, of course. Only... could you not do that?
Sir?
That is to say, could you go and wait in the dressing room for a moment first? As a good chap.
Sir, I must say, this isn't making you appear to be less guilty.
Just go in there and wait until I give the all clear. Then I promise you can have whatever rubbish you find under there.
Very good, sir. can't be absolutely certain, but I believe the plumbing has backed up again. And there's only one place the excess water can go in this house when that happens.
Okay, it's safe.
This is most definitely not what was here a moment ago. I doubt it's the murder weapon. I believe Master Nick obtained this at a now-defunct American chain restaurant. It's since become his little dog's second most popular chew toy, after my shoes. Well, I don't think this is the actual murder weapon, but I might as well take it. The bedpost is the more traditional location for one's gum, but Master Nick has always been one to spit his gum in the face of convention. Also occasionally in my face. Master Nick threw this and said, "Fetch, Willikins," but neither the dog nor I were sure which of us he meant, so it's remained under the bed ever since. Step by step, heart to heart. On loan to us from an old text adventure. I won't bother making a more specific reference as you're not likely to get it anyway. I managed to retrieve the line before that rodent gnawed completely through it. That little blight is going to be trouble. I suspect if that rat is clever enough not to drown when his home's been flooded, he won't just eat a packet of clearly marked poison. This may be the first time in all my years of working here that I've used poison as a verb, and not in the way I'd always imagined it either. Much as I'd like to crawl into my subterranean hole and hide from all this, it would appear to be flooded. Yes, of course, that's brilliant! That will solve all my current problems. Wait, no, sorry, it won't work at all. I don't know why I said that. That dead rat won't even be in the top 10 smelliest things I've had to deal with down there, sadly. The diameter of the gnome's pointy cap would seem to match the diameter of the wound on our foyer corpse. I believe I may indeed have obtained the murder weapon. After a considerable fashion. That's all 4 of Clever Roose's rather condescending puzzle pieces found. I suppose I should phone him now and be condescended to further.
You've reached Clever Ruse?
Yes, hello. This is Willikins the butler, from Nick Hall.
Yes? You must be very proud.
We spoke earlier at length. You came here and told me what evidence I'd need to present in order to solve the murder that took place earlier today.
Oh, yes, of course. You've located that evidence, then.
More or less, yes.
And said evidence exonerates your lord and master?
As far as you know, yes.
Excellent. I shall be there momentarily. Meet me at the scene of the crime.
Very good. Obviously, some of this evidence paints Master Nick in a, shall we say, less than innocent light. But I think I can accidentally omit those details when presenting it to Mr. Roos.
Excellent work, chap. Top notch. Couldn't have done it better myself.
You didn't.
Yes, but now comes the most important bit. Assembling this data into an official Cleveroo's information packet for easy consumption, processing, and adaptation into various forms of highly lucrative media.
So you're going to take the hard work I've done, scrawl your name at the top, and take credit for the whole thing.
It's a bit more complicated than that.
Is it? Explain it to me, then.
No time for that. I have an important call to make. I shall be in this adjoining room here, not to be disturbed.
Who does he think he is, ordering me about like that?
That's my job!
Off I go! What was that code we'd agreed upon for when someone we don't want hanging about is hanging about? Well, I can't remember it either. That's why I asked you. Don't forget it. The point is, someone is in the room now, and I can't say anything. Yes, I have all the evidence that clears Lord Nick's name. No, I didn't need to lift a finger. I convinced the idiot butler to do it for me. He's quite the idiot, and also extremely ugly.
Well, that's just hurtful.
And get this, he actually believed I was affiliated with law enforcement. Didn't ask to see a single credential. Ugly idiot. Of course I'm going to bug it down the loo. What better way to destroy the evidence, assuring his inevitable execution, and then I shall have unfettered access to those bearer bonds. No, I don't know what they are, but I know they're valuable. Something to do with the war, I think. Anyway, that's my sinister plan. But look at me dominating the conversation. How have you been? I see. Yes. Oh, and how is Uncle Alfie? Still dead, then?
Good heavens, I must call emergency services immediately.
Emergency services, how may I direct your call?
Hello, I wonder if I might... Wait a minute, that's not Beryl, is it?
Oh, well spotted, sir. I can see from our display that you're calling from a rather posh mansion, so you may not comprehend this. But working folk are entitled to a day off once in a while. We are, despite the way you lot treat us, human.
Yes, of course. As the personal servant to a rather difficult master,
Are you taking the piss, sir?
I beg your pardon?
We ain't servants. We've no use for that archaic class-based nonsense here. Now, what was it that you wanted?
I must speak with Detective Inspector Bobby at once.
A servant speak to an inspector? Not on my watch, sir. D.I. Bobby is much too busy to waste her time on the likes of you.
Really, this is rather urgent.
Well, if it's so bloody urgent, I'm sure your master will have no trouble phoning back.
Well, that was a real roller coaster of class politics. Suppose I'll have to convince Master Nick to phone for the inspector. Sir, if you would, the authorities require an authority to convince them to return to the hall, and I suppose that means you. Sir, are you in there? I don't think he's in there anymore.
Willikins, where the hell have you been?
I was about to ask you the same question, sir. Although I may not have phrased it quite so aggressively, depending on how I was feeling at the moment.
I was lying in my bed wondering why I was feeling so bloody peckish when I realized you never actually fed me today. So, at considerable risk to my person, I came down here to see if we were somehow out of food. Not only did I discover that we were not, which therefore means you're just as lazy as I always suspected you to be, but I also found the hole in a state that I can only describe as a complete disaster.
Yes, sir. Only I have been devoting considerable time and energy to clearing you of these murder charges. And, to that end, I need you to phone the police at, as you would say, Wumps.
Ah, no you don't. I'm not lifting a bloody finger for you until you answer for this mess. Starting with this room here, the food laboratory?
The kitchen, sir.
Right, that thing. Now, I know you were down here at least twice today, and as far as I can tell, you just sort of wandered away without preparing me any food. Why did you do that? Where's my food? And most importantly, why did you do that?
As it happens, sir, that was when I overheard the murder occurring in our foyer, so I went to investigate.
Oh, you went to investigate, did you? Like you're some bloody great detective who isn't a complete pillock. Honestly, you're so thick, and not in the American sense of having a desirable bottom.
Much to my continued embarrassment, your good great-aunt Petunia would beg to differ, sir.
Nevertheless, this is an unacceptable response. Try again.
Because I'm a rubbish butler?
Go on.
Who is terrible at everything?
Correct! Now to the wine cellar for further admonishments.
Oh, good.
Now then, I very generously granted you this personal living space when you wouldn't stop grumbling about sharing a kennel with my little dog Willikins.
Extremely generous of you, yes, sir.
And now I see that you converted it to a bloody swimming hole. We're not zoned for that, Willikins. Explain yourself.
Well, sir, technically you filled my living space with water when you rather suspiciously flushed the murder weapon down the loo.
Don't you try to turn this around on me. Your job, if you can even be bloody bothered to do it, is to anticipate my actions. You should have had a plan for this eventuality, Willikins, like Batman.
Sir, Batman is granted the luxury of prep time.
Enough of your excuses. I do not accept your explanation of this mess. Try again.
Because I'm literally the most worthless, thick-headed soul to ever draw breath.
Got it in one. Or possibly two. I can't be asked to count. Right, now it's on to the front garden.
Sir, this all seems a bit needlessly complicated.
It would seem that way to you, wouldn't it? And now we come to this. You do realize that is meant to be a hedge maze of doom, don't you, Willikins? Only now there's this obvious gaping hole in the thing that any idiot could easily escape from. Possibly even you.
Sir, you actually approved these changes yourself. I have your signature on this document.
Oh, I just bet you do. You've a bloody answer for everything. Next you'll be telling me that my mate Errol is dead just because his dead body is lying in the entrance hall.
Sorry, sir, but your point eludes me.
No surprise there. The point, Willikins, is that you can prove anything with Evidence?
Touché, sir.
What have I told you about speaking French in my house?
Technically, sir, we're not in the house.
I've had it with your excuses, and we're not moving from this spot until you explain why my hedge maze is ruined.
Because I'm a jerk, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir. A complete knee-biter.
There, that wasn't so hard now, was it?
Humiliating myself 3 times in a row? No, sir, that's just a typical day here at Nick Hall.
Too right. Now, what pointless thing was it that you wanted me to do?
I need you to phone the police, sir. It turns out that clever Roos fellow was attempting to scam us.
What, like in that movie where that bloke's head exploded?
No, sir, that's scanners.
What, like the Hulk's secret identity?
No, sir, that's Bruce Banner.
What, that trolley little man what's always on Hollywood squares?
No, sir, that's Bruce Valanche.
What, like my 4th favourite flavour of Dorito?
I don't believe Dorito is spelled that way, sir, but no, that's Cool Ranch.
What, like when Marge Simpson had a mental breakdown?
No, sir, that's Rancho Relaxo.
Constable Bobby returned to Nick Hall, whereupon she was regaled with an accounting of the true events that unfolded that fateful morning.
There I was, sequestered in my chambers. Willikins had ruined my brekkie twice and was almost certainly about to muck it up again. I got bored waiting for his inevitable failure, so I ventured downstairs of my own renaissance.
Sir, don't you mean recognizance?
No, there I met Errol, who, in keeping with tradition, was stealing my newspaper to have a look at the page 4 girl.
Surely you mean the page 6 girl.
No! Unfortunately, before I could forthwith and heretofore arrive upon the scene in question, Willikins had got there first.
But, sir, I was clearly in the kitchen.
Not you, my little dog, Willikins.
You have a dog called Willikins. Doesn't that get confusing?
Not to me. Apparently Errol was not expecting the presence of a personage of the canine persuasion and, startled, stumbled backwards, impaling himself on my commemorative garden schmau. Impaling himself fatally to death until he died. And since I didn't want the authorities taking my little dog away, I hid him up here. The end.
That all makes perfect sense, sir, but there's one thing.
Ah, no you don't. The murder is solved and I'm innocent. Don't you go all Columbo on me now.
It's a fair cop. Unfortunately, we shall now have to bring someone else in for questioning.
Ah, yes, the so-called detective, Clever Roos.
What? Who? Never heard of him. I meant the dog. You, my little murdering fellow, are coming with me.
Oh, no!
Will Nick's dog be executed for murder? Was the vast majority of this game actually a pointless waste of everyone's time? And what of poor Errol?
Still dead.
I'm actually not sure why I'm asking these questions, because the story is over now. Roll credits!